As I say, always come in. This is live, uncut, unedited. We have some community news from Teamwork Englewood. All right, Restorative Justice Court is what we're going to talk about. It's community news. Now, this is some serious concern that I'm hearing. I don't know all the details, but I know some of the details. So I have to my left and probably to your right, Director Cecile, right?
Cecile, yes.
Cecile, okay. And my brother Mike, he's also employed here, and he's going to explain to us what's going on. But I need a few more people to come on in, and we're going to wait. And this is real serious in the community. It's very serious. Something that we shouldn't take lightly is involving the non-for-profit and the state's attorney, right? The new state's attorney. So we're trying to get some understanding there. Understanding is the best thing in the world. Am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
All right. I'm going to start with Mike first. So just introduce yourself. Tell us what you do here at Teamwork Englewood.
Well, my name is Michael Titmore. I wear quite a few hats around here, but today I just want to talk about this one real important hat that I wear. I am the community liaison for the Community Justice Court. It's a court in the Englewood community. It's housed in the Salvation Army Annex building at 745 West 69th Street. It is a deterrence or a place where instead of young people going to the criminal justice court building, they come to a court that's located in a community. And it's a wraparound support program for those that's court involved. I've been doing it since its inception, and I today left the graduation for the participants. It was over 30. It was over 30 participants that graduated today, meaning completed all of their obligations, all of their requirements for being a part of the community court. And they was able to get their expungements done today, and a lot of celebratory things that took place today. Gifts, food.
Mike, I need to stop you. So what happened today? I'm noticing something on the table here. Hold it up so more people can see it.
And I was surprised today, gifted with an award myself for my participation as the community liaison for Teamwork Englewood. So they gave me this nice award, the Restorative Justice Community Court Award, Service Award, Michael Titmore 2025.
Saving lives, huh?
Yes.
All right, Miss Director.
I'm Cecile DeMello. I'm the executive director at Teamwork Englewood. I've been here since July 2019. I also raised my family here in Greater Englewood.
Okay.
And Teamwork Englewood, like Mr. Tidmore said, has been really involved in the Restorative Justice Court, and we are really invested. We also do a lot of work around public safety, but from a community building perspective. And restorative justice is an important part on how public safety also gets facilitated in the community, because it's about relationships, it's around healing, it's around understanding how to navigate conflict. And restorative justice programming enhancement is also a part of the Englewood Quality of Life Plan. So Teamwork Englewood is the convener of the Englewood Quality of Life Plan, which is a plan that is actually created and then co-implemented by residents and stakeholders. And our second plan, that is the plan we're currently working on, was in 2016. And the expansion of restorative justice programming and access to those programs for Englewood residents was something residents called out. So we hold restorative justice here at Teamwork Englewood not just as a value, but as a demand from community members.
Okay. How long has restorative justice been around? I think I just.
Well, informally, being able to talk to people and respect space and work through conflict in a community building way has been around and implemented from our ancestors' perspective, right?
All right.
As far as restorative justice being implemented in Chicago specifically, we see a lot of restorative justice early advocacy work being done in Chicago public schools. It was a problem-solving solution to moving away from suspensions and expulsions that were hurting young Black men, especially in Chicago public schools. And, there it starts to be a part of the student code of conduct, but then people are using it more from Chicago's perspective
Okay.
throughout the community as well. And so I got introduced to restorative justice in 2008 and was implementing it in an elementary school in 2011.
Perfect. Perfect. I'm quite sure I might be jumping ahead of myself. I know you got some testimonies and things like that. And for those that don't know about restorative justice, you can. How could a person who needs restorative justice in Chicago? I think Mike, maybe you can answer that.
I say
Who are the target people? All right.
anybody that have experienced a situation where they have been, let's say, broken or experienced some type of trauma or just went down the wrong direction, went down the wrong road. It's an opportunity to rebuild. It's an opportunity to surround them with the support that they need. So anybody and everybody, it could be done in your family, in your household, as Cecile said, in your school, in your community. It's a rebuild and it's a redemption process.
Okay.
So, yeah, and to the point that Cecile made earlier, it's something that was a part of our ancestral experiences.
I like that.
So it's not nothing new. It's just us remembering. It's a remembering. It's a reconnection to what we already had.
Perfect. Perfect.
I agree. I would say too, part of capitalism and the way the United States function as far as penalizing and punishing Black people has always been around zero tolerance, right? So we starve and we infiltrate your community with disinvestment and over policing. And the answer is to be tough on crime and the prison industrial complex. Restorative justice is calling that out and saying when people are in divested communities and are being infiltrated by intentional negativity, the answer isn't always, if not at all, imprisonment. Restorative practices are saying harm has been done. And the rituals of restorative justice and restorative practices in general is about being able to hear each other and be able to work through repairing harm we have done to each other. And so where in the past we have relied on the prison system to fix people and to repair harm, we've learned, and we know this for a fact, that doesn't really do that work, right? It leaves the victims still feeling not vindicated, and it leaves the continuous hole in those who, quote unquote, are perpetrators, right? And restorative justice sees the humanity in both and is asking for both to come together through the practices and rituals of restorative justice to have a conversation and understanding and consequences that don't mess up people's lives when it doesn't have to.
Right. It reminds me, I speak with a lot of people all the time, and the first thing he said, lock them up, throw away the key, lock them up, throw away the key. So this is a plan that's been activated for the longest and want to give people a second chance, because, we probably have all made some mistakes, coming up. Some, I may not have been a felon, I may have been a misdemeanor because a simple domestic violence can cost you to lose a job, not even get a job, so go ahead, Mike.
Yeah. And so the process is what we call the peace circle. So when you sit down and when you have a circle conversation with people, you get to learn more about the backstory, what's behind it, what brought them to that point. And when you hear those backstories, then you start to see the humanity in people. You start to see, as you said, people make mistakes. And, if you give people the opportunity to be accountable for their mistakes, they'll be able to process, their emotions, process those experiences, and make a decision to make more better choices. So, yes.
I agree. I like that. I mean, I really like that, especially our youth. And the youth of the day, it's a lot going on with our youth. I'm not here to bash anybody, and a lot of them do need some help, support, like you said, in these disinvested areas and stuff like that. So let's get into the meat. Let's get into the meat now. We just gave you guys a little shadow, but we're finna bring the facts, the statistics. I wish I could have gotten them early. I would have put them on the screen too, but that's okay. All right. Cynthia, all right.
Yeah, so earlier this year, the Restorative Justice Court in Englewood, which, like Mr. Tidmore was saying, has been a space for diverting certain criminal cases
Mhm.
into a space where community members will support those individuals using the peace circle process and using wraparound services for the whole entire restorative experience. And
I have a question, cut you real quick. Now, when you say peace circle or something, is it a victim and
Ooh, good question.
Yeah.
You're skipping into the podcast.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So
just for the audience, you know.
that's originally what the design was
Okay.
going to be. What it was going to be victim and offenders.
Okay.
But bringing victim and offenders together in a space can have a lot of challenges, especially when our culture absorbs retaliation and revenge the way that we do, right?
Yes.
So you have to do a lot of prep work and you have to do a lot of support. Sometimes we call them even restorative chats to even get the groundwork done before you bring people together, right? And so the courts currently don't have a victim and offender in the cases that are referred, right? The cases that have been referred currently to the court have been some small percentage drug cases, but vast majority gun cases.
Okay.
But these gun cases weren't gun cases where, you know, someone was
shot.
Yeah, they're not those kind of cases, right? And the vast majority, almost 85% of the cases that have been referred to the restorative justice courts across the city have been gun cases.
Okay.
And through the work through the restorative justice courts, even the support that Mr. Tidmore provides to those participants, it's life coaching, mentoring, job support, because sometimes these cases impact their employment, or maybe they needed the employment even before they had the case. So it supports them with all of that and legal services in the court process. So now, instead of them having a misdemeanor or felony, they have their records expunged, maybe a new job. They have, you know, a life plan, which is some of the work that Mr. Tidmore does with them. Mr. Tidmore makes them read too.
Oh yeah, he's a reader.
Actually, I have them listening to some podcasts sometimes as well.
Well, I was taught this. A friend of mine, she's a school teacher. She said, Martin, I tell my students that people that tend to know how to read do better in life.
Yes.
You can you have a better finance on your car or on your home, and you can read things. You can read. You do well in life if you know how to read.
So true.
Yeah. And what has been some of the tension point right now with some community partners and the new Cook County State's Attorney is that this State's Attorney Burke has actually took away the gun cases from the restorative justice court.
Okay.
And a few flags are raised in this situation. One, nobody was really consulted prior to.
Okay, I remember.
Which is always problematic for communities. It's always a red flag that, okay, why are decisions not being made with us? The restorative justice courts had a lot of community input in co-creation. So it is it's a victory in and of itself that it exists, and it's community co-design, right?
Okay.
So to have, you know, decisions being made that don't include the people who have been, you know, developing the work, evaluating the work, perfecting the work is problematic.
Agreed.
Now, what's happening in Englewood specifically is we have two issues happening that have been top-down decisions from the state's attorney.
Let's hear.
The first being the gun cases being withdrawn from the restorative justice court. The second being the federal bypass review that was first only going to be initiated in the 7th Police District, which is Greater Englewood.
Right.
This is a special pilot.
Okay.
Yeah, and I want to get it right.
I'm gonna call it testing ground.
Testing ground.
That's what I'm gonna say. This political correct testing ground.
So the felony review bypass pilot program is where it would allow some lieutenants to approve felony charges in cases involving unlawful possession of a weapon, unlawful possession of a weapon by a felon, and aggravated unlawful possession of a weapon.
So, in other words, that's not shoot nobody, right? Just if you get caught with it, don't have a valid license to carry and all that. Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to get that clear. Okay.
Some of the talking points that have came out as the state's attorney has been under fire for this pilot is, this is going to allow officers to not be bottlenecked and having to go to court or, provide all of the additional paperwork when they pull somebody over or they're, searching someone and a weapon is found, right?
Can
But
I comment on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
That seems like they need to get more staff. I'm just being real. I'm not being negative. So you saying about you not having enough staff, you're going to put the penalty on the citizens. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, if maybe this was done not around the same time as the gun case is taken out of the Restorative Justice Court, perhaps you could make the case that this was going to be an initiative that would just, try some things out to help reduce gun offenses or crimes that are committed with guns. But for both of these things to happen very close together is problematic. And they're both top-down decisions. And I want to be clear, the decisions are being made with other officials. They're just not community partners.
Okay.
And so some of the feedback and the pushback we've been getting as we've been negotiating, I wouldn't say we're negotiating, but we're talking through with the state's attorney office on these concerns. One of them is they're like, well, this is about public safety. And so I'm not going to spend too much time on public safety, but public safety happens through a lot of different programs, coordination, collaborations, and partnerships. And Teamwork Englewood and our partners in this community and our residents in this community have been working really hard to address public safety in a non-punitive, zero-tolerant prison industrial complex way. Between the community, the CVI workers, to our resident associations, to our program providers, to our reentry services. All of this has been happening the last couple of years to support public safety. And just in January, the mayor's team was here, right at Kennedy King College across the street, and bragged on how we had a 30% decrease in the 7th district around crime.
Oh, yes. So hold it right there. Now, the crime is down, and I'm the crime chaser, so I know it's down. It's down. Seriously, it's really down, and which is a good thing. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. I was proud of us. Memorial Day, I almost cried. No disrespect to people that lost their lives. It was so low that haven't seen like that in years. But my thing is, when they made the decision, like you said, it was just top down. The community was not included. None of the community holders, such as Teamwork Englewood. It's a lot of organizations in Englewood, and it wasn't invited or anything when the decision was made. They just made it, right?
And so I won't talk too much longer about this part, but I've been doing community organizing in Chicago for over 20 years, and you don't add pilots top down in communities that have been figuring things out. You support and invest in their best practices. And with the Restorative Justice Court in Englewood having such a high success rate, over 80%
That's what I'm talking about.
of the people that come through the court graduate and don't get caught again. That is success.
That is success.
The collaboration with our partners, the CIV work, the hotspot saturation, the critical neighborhood infrastructure investment, that is success. So Teamwork Englewood has just been like, why are we changing something that is showing positive growth and is impacting especially young Black men?
Wow. Mike?
No, well, what's so impactful today at the ceremony or the court, there was a couple of young men that got up there and talked about their experience. I just happened to record, and I have one that's for 4 minutes.
You read my mind. Y'all should have had me to record that stuff like that. I need that stuff like that.
Especially when I saw Channel 2 and Channel 9.
Right.
I said, where's part now. You know?
I was there.
But if I may, if I may here, this is.
This day was about grief and family. I attended a funeral earlier this day of the family member that had a gun violence. It was at the wrong place and at the wrong time.
Put it right in the mic.
Due to the death of a loved one, I bow myself.
So he's talking about the beginning of his situation.
You know what we had to do? All I could just put my cord on there. Hold on, people. Let me get my cord out. I can put it right on my cord.
Okay.
Put it right on my cord. Bluetooth.
And I just want to say the reason why I think it's important to share this because the judge or the state's attorney blatantly say, hey, no gun cases should be allowed in the RJ court. But not looking at the case by case basis or situation. So if you want me to just surmise. So this young man talks about his experience of losing a loved one. I believe he said his cousin or family member. And he vowed that, hey, you know, he didn't want to go to the funeral without having his thing on him, which he had his Ford card. This wasn't a gun that was illegal to have. He had his Ford card. He just never had his concealed and carry. Okay. And as the police approached and they saw, you know, him adjusting it, they pulled him over and he had it on him and he got arrested, and that's how he wound up in the community court. But he talks about his experience in being a part of the community court and how he looked at his situation. He feels like, okay, he understands accountability and he's moving on with his life. But in order for him to move on with his life, he can't be labeled with this criminal record because that's gonna hinder him from getting employment, hindering him from just reintegrating back in society holistically. So those are the things that the state's attorney has not looked at, you know, and that's something that we as a community, we wrap around, we give the wraparound services, the support, the mentoring, the counseling, whatever they need, the job placement, the work on their expungement. That's why it's so important.
Did you guys invite the state's attorney to the graduation?
Well, the judge, Judge Cooper, I'm pretty sure they may have, but I'm not sure. Oh, okay. But it would have been good to have the state's attorney there.
See your PR mind working.
You see, yeah, oh yeah.
Well, we do it. So
in social work, we know it. Yeah. If you didn't write it down, it didn't happen. That's the golden rule in social work.
But you know, the community court has a public defender and a state's attorney representative. We have somebody from the state's attorney office there that buy into the RJ court. But of course, Jay has a boss, which is the state's attorney. So
yeah. One of the things her team has been sharing in some of the community meetings and conversations is that we're the only court system that is using peace circle keeping when it comes to violations around guns.
Okay.
And I'm like, that's something actually to be proud of.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't see it as this misnomer, especially like I said, when we're seeing such growth in public safety. This is actually could be one ingredient of the gumbo that's working.
Right.
You know, and so that's just, you know, it's showing like a little bit of the disconnect on why peace circle keeping and restorative practices are part of community building. And there's not an alignment or shared goals on what does full public safety look like.
Right.
You know,
that part.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And like you said, you're a resident of Englewood. Most people that make decisions for Englewood don't live in Englewood, never.
And let me tell you something. I said this when we had our town hall meeting in the neighborhood. I live in a place that's my block is interesting.
Right. I was there.
You know,
when you took, yeah.
and I'm still not saying that I want that. Right. I want my babies to be safe like anybody else in this city. I pray over my children's safety every day. Right. But I still don't want it at the expense of hurting other people's lives.
Right. Perfect. That makes sense. You know. So what's next, guys? So what? I mean, let me ask you guys this question. Now, if they're making decisions to take away something, are they giving something back? That's
No,
where I want to go.
that's a great segue into some of their suggested ways to replace
Okay.
how they divert gun cases that
Okay.
are non don't include a victim. So part of what they have just worked on is to potentially put some of the gun cases in the first time gun offense probation.
Okay.
And they recently advocated for a state law that passed around, supporting with a diversion programming to get people their FOID cards. Because they're saying if more people had their FOID cards, then some of this wouldn't even be, in play, right?
Okay.
They may not have needed to go to the restorative justice court, or they don't, need to have the federal the bypass review. However, we just recently asked them for evidence on what has been the success rate of the first time gun offense probation program. Because I'd be really interested, Martin, to see if they're also clocking the same 80% numbers like the restorative justice court. What are going to be those same wraparound supports? Who are going to be the community partners that are going to be at play? Who's going to evaluate the effectiveness of this program? Because what we don't want is for a program that may not be as effective to then replace this. We have this community-centered and accountability system, and I'm always hesitant when you bring me a bureaucratic state-run initiative to replace those community spaces. So we're hoping that they're going to be transparent around the first-time gun offense probation program. What is its success rates? What are some of the barriers that it has? What are some of the successes we have, right. In that program? But I'm really hesitant on whether or not that's it, because there's just not enough information for community partners to even say this is a potential solution.
Right.
The other piece that they were discussing at the Englewood Town Hall meeting was about bringing the victim and offenders cases more into the community. Now, for me and Mr. Tidmore, full stop.
Okay.
Until we see a system and programming created that supports that.
Okay.
Mr. Tidmore has done circles with real rough situations, and it takes a lot of relationship building. It takes a lot of patience, intuition, and connection with your ancestors to set up the space for some of that to happen. And when we asked those questions around how that was going to be built out, there wasn't clarity. And that's another caution for us, right? I've done a lot of advocacy around bringing restorative justice into Chicago public schools in some of my past work. And I know what it looks like when people don't want something and they set it up to fail. I've seen that happen a lot. And so this is going to be some of our concerns and our lived experiences that helps us with our lens around critiquing a top-down programming that there's no clarity on its implementation, and no real scoping on how big, when you say you're doing victim offenders, the programming needs to be.
So I'm assuming that you guys met with the state's attorney, okay?
Yes.
A couple of times, or 1-2 times?
Yeah, and we're always so we had a town hall meeting where we shared,
right.
our work, and then we've had, I think, 2 discussions with them afterwards. And Mr. Tidmore's been a witness of this. Every time I said, just because you meet with Teamwork don't mean you met with Englewood.
Yes.
Okay.
So they still have to bring everything they're talking about, we feel like should come to the district council meetings.
Okay, that makes sense.
We've asked them, we put that in writing as well, that is a community governed space, that everything that is being discussed and their problem solving around, their pivots should be provided to that governing body, and should be sent out to the community through that work.
Okay. Now I have a question. Who is monitoring? They say they want to turn it over to the probation people. So who's monitoring the probation people? Who's working with them?
Yeah, we don't have those answers. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. And they said the end game, is to expunge it off their record and for them to get their FOID card, right?
I'm actually not clear on the expungement part specifically, because we actually do have some pushback on the expungement part as well. And I feel like I've been talking a lot. So we'll see if Mr. Timmer want to talk about that time period pressure that we be under for the Restorative Justice Court.
Yeah. So so to answer the question, that first portion of the question was the end, the objective. Well, I don't know if it's the expungement per se, but it's just to give them the opportunity to get their life back on track. I think that's in general. And the expungement part is just the part that is a component of that, and Teamwork Englewood is the organization that's taking the lead on assisting with the expungement. Now, the thing about the expungement that's kind of challenging is that there's the participants is, of course, anxious to get it behind them. And so they always say, how long, when is it going to take place? It don't take place overnight.
Right.
The court has been providing some assistance in giving a timeline that they want to present these cases before the court, where if they complete all of the obligations, meaning the participants, they're able to go ahead and get it processed. We at Teamwork Englewood, we have a legal department under our reentry, and we had a legal team that was really on it, but we, as of lately, not too long ago, we downsized in our legal department. So that created a backlog for us.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I think that was pretty much the
I think
question.
they have to show that they have to have their petitions, I believe, submitted within 60 days.
That's what the community court would like they would like to do it within 60 days.
And that could be difficult if, first of all, I think we're not all the courts have expungement services from a community partner in the first place, right? So we're helping them, but we're also helping all the Englewood residents, all the Southside residents. And so in order for us to work with them to get to that 60-day, we have to continue to push the wait list back.
Oh, okay.
And that's where it can get a little, clogged up for us. So we wanted to see if we could also get some support and maybe extending that 60-day petition. And to the point about if we're real serious about Restorative Justice Court being a good diversion program, when are we going to see some people invest in this initiative? Because right now, our legal clinic, Mr. Tidmore's time, the rest of our staff time, we privately fundraise to show up to the court in that way.
Okay.
And if we want to make sure that we have these very fast, expeditious, timelines, more capacity has to be built in to the organizations that are supporting them or from the state's attorney, period.
Okay. What is it that you want the public to do to kind of assist you guys in getting?
I have some ideas.
Okay.
First of all, I think it's really important that Chicago residents are attending their district council meetings because a lot of the district council members are watching this and have came out about their concerns around this. And that's a governing body that we elect.
Okay.
They're like the local school councils for the police district, right? And bringing these things up in the meeting, seeing if they could be a part of the agenda. We need something that's independent that's going to watch the state's attorney. And I think the district councils are a part of that. And I'm very grateful to the ones here in 7th District that helped to initiate that education forum that we had with the state's attorney office. I think another thing that people can be doing is if you live near a restorative justice court, you should get involved. They need more mentors. They need more coaches. They need more peace circle keepers.
Definitely.
This is our court for our community, and when people are thinking about how do I mentor, how do I get involved, this is a place where you can get involved and participate in something right in your community and build relationships with those folks who are going through the court. So it's the other part. There are some other coalition efforts that are being formed because our issues here in Englewood are not the only concerns that people have around the agenda of the state's attorney. So, Appleseed is a great research, legal organization that there's a way to get involved in reading their recent reports and things like that. That could be important as well. But from a very local community level, come join us in the RJ court. then also participating in your district council meetings. And then, as we see the state's attorney's, agenda and plan get rolled out, I think there's an opportunity to directly advocate with the state's attorney.
And that's what I'm talking about. Now, I have lived in Englewood for like 5 years. I've never heard of the restorative justice program until I came in contact with you guys. Never heard of it. Never heard of it.
It's almost like something that's hidden. I don't know why that is, but you're not the first person. A lot of people, when I talk about the court, they was like, hey, I never heard of it. And I invite people to come out, because it seems like even with RJ, or the restorative justice practices, it appears to be abstract when you talk about it. People don't really understand what it is. And so, in a plain and simple way, I always, when I start my conversation out about RJ or restorative justice, I say, have you watched the movie Soul Food? And when they sat down at the table in Big Mama's house as a family, that was a restorative practice process. It's a real simple, or shall I say, it's a good social way. It's a good way to socialize. And so I want to say this, though, that question that you asked, what's needed, what do we want the community to do? I would like the community to believe in our young people, our young people as the greatest resource. We need to support them to get success stories, to highlight them, to showcase them in Englewood. Like, this is a youth that came through the community court after making a poor decision, and we supported this young people. And now look at this person, he's doing what Martin used to do, or what Martin is doing. He's doing a podcast, or he's here, Teamwork Englewood. We got graduations, we got all of these success stories, we have these CEOs. So that's what I would like to see.
Sorry about that, yeah. They called me twice because I got it on silent. And I like that. But I remember interviewing someone from the state's attorney, and he was talking about restorative justice. I remember, if I calm me, I'm sorry, y'all. He was saying that he was targeting like from 14 to 21 or something with gun cases or something. I don't know, but they can get it off their record. It was a while back. I done an interview.
Yeah, so this is not the juveniles.
Okay.
They don't do juveniles, but they do young adults.
Okay.
So yes.
Oh, okay. Because so let me ask you a question now. How many people graduated today from restorative?
It was over 30.
30.
That's the list of all the graduates today.
Okay. You want to read a couple of names? Just a couple of names that you.
Jay Ellison.
Talking to Mike. Talk to me.
There's Jay Ellison. Oh, Jay Ellison. A. Maya. D. Baskin. I want to say the Baskin I know. M. Bates. T. Bates. A. Bishop. S. Brown. M. Brown. A. Brown. C. Brown Lee. A. Bennett. A. Bias. P. Caldwell. He sat next to me. We had a nice conversation. Ian Callan. C. Carey, D. Chapman. I talked to D. Chapman today. M. Christa, G. Coleman, D. Cosby. I mentored D. Cosby. J. Cross. I mentored J. Cross. And Cutter, I'm gonna say. And T. Daly. I can go on and on.
That's good. I just want to throw some names out there to proof, sure that it does work, that it does work. And that's what we want to push out. So when is the next district council meeting? Do you know? If not, you can send it to me. I can. Okay.
I think it was June 18th, because I remember being like, I can't go because we had our Juneteenth event on the same day. So it may be the third Wednesdays, but their information is always available online.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is really important. I mean, I want to thank you guys. Anything else that we missed, or any numbers and something?
No, I think we
Now,
covered
how could a person get signed up with restorative justice if they need it? Do you guys seek out them, or do they seek you guys out? How it works?
So that's a good question, because
Mhm.
I'm always asked that question. So typically it's they lawyer, when they get the case, they lawyer say, hey, can this person be eligible for the community court? So the referrals come from the court for the most part. But however, if you know anybody that fits that category, you can contact me, you can contact the community court, and we can see about getting that situation or that case transferred over to the community court, which it has happened. I'm just going to say one of our community partners had a son that was in that situation, and he contacted me, and we got him right into the community court.
Okay.
Yes.
You know what I think? It's just personal opinion. I think we have to, as a community, speaking as a whole, we have to get the word out there, push it out there, because we know a lot of our young Black and brown brothers are getting arrested and things like that. They need a second chance. It's so much peer pressure.
Yes.
We're not young anymore. We don't know some of the things that they go through. We can just assume.
Yes.
It could be bullying, anything.
Exactly.
Not taking up for bad behavior, but I believe in second chances.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No.
Oh, wow. Well, let's shout out to Mark Mitchell, y'all. Thank you, Mark. All right. Thank you.
But if I may say, so the community court, it convenes every Wednesday at 745 West 69th Street, annex of the Salvation Army building. It's on the second floor. It starts around 10 o'clock. There's the judge, the state's attorney, the clerk, the community participants. Before the court start, all the participants are in a waiting area where we do our peace circles at. I'm normally in there engaging with them in conversations, letting them know about the resources that we have in our community at our organization. On Thursdays is the day that we have the peace circles, where the participants are filling their obligations to be a part of the RJ or the community peace circles. So that's on Wednesdays around 9 and 10 o'clock as well. I mean, Thursdays for the peace circles. Yes.
So is the public invited, or just?
Yeah. So the public is invited to both of them.
Okay.
The public can definitely be a part of. So the whole objective of the peace circles is to have the community involved or engaged in the peace circles.
Perfect. I'm telling you, I've never heard of it, man. I lived in Englewood for 5 years on 68th and Emerald. Never heard of that. Never. Chasing crime all over the city. Never heard of that program. Never heard it until you guys.
Well, you definitely have to come. That's what it sounds like. You got to come on a Wednesday and check it out.
And I did tell the Judge Cooper, wonderful. I told her we need to have her interview. We need to, do an interview of her. So, Martin, I think you would be a good person. She just said, make sure it's the day that she has her nice afro done. So.
No problem.
Yes.
No problem. Set it up. I'll be happy to do that.
All right. Yes.
I love it.
Yes.
Love it. To help the community, help us. Because information is powerful.
Yes.
It's very powerful. And I was hearing some testimonies when I was here today. Yeah. If I'd have knew about this program when I was a youngster, I would be far along in life.
Yes.
Some people don't get the advantages. Well, they don't take advantage of some of the opportunities while they're young. Yeah. So many things going around, but when you get a little older, get more seasoned, then okay, now I'm gonna slow down. Now I'm gonna do it. Now I see it. Yeah. It's like a parent, and we are parents here, and we tell our children to do something. They may not get it the first time, the second, third, may take to the fifth time, but they really realize that we have their best interests in heart. So I want to thank you guys today. This is a wonderful, 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 wonderful interview with both of you guys. I didn't know what we was going to talk about today. Seriously. I said, Margaret, what are we talking about? Don't worry about it. Shit. And it was great. And I went to the meeting, so I was there at the first meeting.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You were at the town hall.
Yes, I was there. And the district councils, they was kind of lost. They didn't know what was going on either, because it was all new to us, new. So actually, I sent Mark the article about that. When I read it and I was looking and I said to Mark, because I remember the word restorative justice. And I was like, man, Mark knows more about this. So I sent it to him. I'm the one brought it to his attention when it's seen that. So I didn't know too much about it, but I knew something don't sound right, So again, guys, y'all already know what it is.
You already know what it is.
What is it?
Live, uncut,
And what?
unedited. Tell the truth.
That's what we did.
And shame the devil. I love being black.
All right, thank y'all so much. Tune in. Make sure you share this video. Share it on Twitter, X, YouTube, and Facebook. Share it. Get involved. Please do. Thank you so much. Thank you, Teamwork Englewood, for having me to navigate this wonderful podcast today. Thank you so much. Thanks to our social director right here, Cecile, and Brother Mike.
The director.